is already encumbered or not, but assuming that it's not, if you could get a first deed of trust on the property, then you foreclose on the property and then it's yours.
Then we just have to get that skate park off of it somehow.
Again, I want folks to keep in mind that we could lose the 300,000. At least that's what I've heard staff say if we don't move forward on this ASAP. Secondly, given the downturn in the economy, contractor bids are, as Doug Crane has pointed out, are low now, but they might go up, and there might be few contractors willing to bid on it if the stimulus package takes them all away. Secondly, we should put this in the context of what the majority of this council was willing to spend on the ARC gymnasium. And then we want to talk about our unwillingness to save the Saturday Afternoon Club and the Palace Hotel at this point, and think about where we want to visit when we leave this community. We generally are attracted to those communities that have done the best job of preserving their historical buildings. And so I would hope that within 2 meetings, that would put us in the middle of March, that we make preparations to move forward, that we look, I think your recommendation is great, that, you know, that we try to realize something out of this, but I do not think that should be a deal breaker. This is a very significant, I mean, we don't have that many historical buildings, and this is one of them. And think about how long we have waited for this and worked on this. And in relation to what we've decided to spend RDA funds on in other areas of the community, this $207,615 is not a major chunk when we look at what we're considering in other areas of the community.
Yeah. Okay, I just will end by saying I did that calculation that you suggested a long time ago about, or earlier this evening, about what if we canceled the skate park rent, we'd get $72,000, you know, that we wouldn't have paid out. Of course, that's not redevelopment money, I don't think, but nevertheless. And then, so I think, so you're suggesting that they come back within a couple weeks? Because there were questions that we gave you that you could bring back, and then I think we would be prepared to make a decision.
Would you like us to bring back a budget amendment as well? And a budget amendment for what we're asking for with answers to as many questions and as many, and then...
Yeah.
To the RDA budget?
It's RDA budget, right?
That's right. Yeah, so I guess we would bring this discussion to the RDA.
Maybe we can just poll the, I don't know if we need a motion. Would you if we just simply give consensual direction to staff, do you think we need a specific motion at this point in time?
No, you can do it by consensus.
Well, I would hope you would come back with a recommended budget amendment in 2 weeks or a month, and with some possibilities on how we could gain some equity in the property based on our commitment.
Support that. And regarding Saturday Afternoon Club, we considered the use of RDA funds to acquire that. We didn't do it, but it does survive, and it seems to be in pretty good hands.
That's correct. Councilmember Thomas.
I am, this is not passing the smell test right now, and my question is kind of germane. You made reference to the fact that the site itself, having been along a railroad track, may run into some real contamination issues, and I know you can't assess those by a walkthrough or even give a solid estimate of what those reclamation costs might be. But that's another piece of this that I think we should be aware of, and makes me a little more nervous about this than I would be otherwise. Maybe you have an answer for that right now.
Well, that would only be if we, that wouldn't really affect what we're talking about at this point, because we're just going to rehab the building. If we were to take some sort of ownership, if they were to surplus the property, then we would certainly have to discuss that, because
But,
That
but
could be
we
an
are
issue.
here talking about the possibility of taking ownership, and when we do that, then my concern about this as a contaminated site goes way up.
City Attorney Marston.
If you structure the agreement as a lender agreement, there's an exception under CERCLA that exempts lenders from liability for hazardous waste contamination if they acquire an ownership interest.
Can we move forward and assume that there's been a relative consensus to ask you to bring this back in 2 to 4 weeks with recommendations and a proposed budget amendment? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Baldwin?
We're going to move on. We're going to move on to item C. Adoption of a resolution authorizing submittal of an application for acceptance of an allocation of funds and execution of a grant agreement with the California Department of Transportation for a matching grant for a Federal Aviation Administration approved project under the Airport Improvement Program.
Well, my name is Greg Owen. I'm the airport manager. This project has been a long-standing project at the airport to replace the storm drains system that is currently was installed in the 40s, and the storm drains are beginning to fail.
1 minute, please. Is everyone able to hear the presenter? Can you hear what he's saying? Okay, thank you very much.
As I was saying, this storm drains that we currently have were put in back in the 40s. There was some issues with some of the storm drains started to fail. That started the first phase of this project, which was a study to see the condition of the storm drains and what needed to be done to repair them. That study has been done. The design specs are done, and we're ready to go to construction now. This grant we're applying for with the FAA would give us the funds to begin construction to repair all the storm drains that were identified as a problem during the storm drain project, the original.
Move adoption of the resolution.
Amen.
That's not that's not how we phrase our seconds here.
Well, yes,
Separation of church and state.
I believe in that. I second.
I do have one question. Why is this last sentence of the third paragraph phrased, "The Airport Commission has not been opposed to continuing with the completion of the project"? That's not a double negative, but it's a awkward way to state an affirmative.
The Airport Commission, the way this is actually an FAA stimulus package that they put together. This has come a lot faster than what they normally would do. Normally, the ACIP program for the FAA would happen in May. They bumped it up this year to February. We were not able to take this to the Airport Commission prior to bringing this to council. If we delayed and waited to go to the Airport Commission, we would lose. This contract has to be, or this document needs to be signed late this week, early next week for us to actually get this money. So the Airport Commission wasn't able to vote on this or give a recommendation to council. We did discuss it last night in our commission meeting. They weren't opposed to it, but when this ASR was written, I had not formally told them that we were getting this money, and that's why that was in there. They're not against it, they're for it. This is a project that they've been supporting for years. They would love to get it done, and it looks like we're finally gonna be able to get it done.
If we apply, is it a done deal?
It's a done deal, and we're gonna get a portion. This year, the money's gonna come in phases. I spoke with the FAA representative today, we're gonna get $550,000 as early as the first week of March will be available. They're unsure of how the other phases of the money will come in, but currently, we're guaranteed $550,000 at this point right now.
Further council questions or discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Any motion?
Oh, thank you very much.
I make a
Is there
motion.
public comment on this application to complete storm drain work at the airport? If not, roll call. Excuse me. Everything, did we follow procedure?
No, I've just, public